Are you reading off a script? Well, before I answer your question, let me tell you a story. That way you will understand my answer. So a long time ago, before I was born or before I was sent here on earth, God told me, or the source told me that, Helga, before you go to earth, there is something you need to know. And I was like, what is it? Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you feel, and everything you experience is not real. And I was like, what do you mean by that, God, or the source? And then God said, earth is considered a school and earth is considered a stage. All the human beings that are going to earth are going to be part of the play. And I was like, what do you mean by that? I'm so confused. And then he said, well, the moment that you're going to earth, you are basically going to play a role. That means you will become an actor or an actress. Not just you, but all the humans are going to be actors and actresses that will play a role. Each actors and each actresses are going to play a significant characters on earth. And I was like, my God, I'm so confused. Why do I have to play a character on earth? And then he said, well, here in the universe or here in space, you don't get to play a character. You only have one character, and that character is called love. So you will never experience any sorts of emotion and any other experiences aside from love. And in order for you to have a spiritual growth, you need to have a human experience. And since you are made of energy here on space, you cannot play a role. You need to go to earth so that you can play an avatar role. That's right, you need to have an avatar in order to play on the stage, which is called earth. And I was like, but why do I have to go to earth and play a character? Why can't I just play love character? And then he said, well, my dear child, it doesn't work that way. Earth is a school, and at the same time, earth is also a stage. The moment that you will arrive there and the moment that you are born from your parents, that's when you start to play a character. However, the moment that you arrive on earth and realize that you're just playing a character, you can decide to change your own character. You can decide to change your own script, and you will become your own director. You can do or play any type of characters. You can do and play any type of script. But there's one thing that you must remember. One thing. And I was like, what is it, God? Well, the rule is never ever hurt other people and never ever hurt yourself. Whatever you do on earth, and whatever script you're doing, the only way you will achieve or learn something is based on the character or the script you're playing. When you do bad things or good things, the result is always karma. And then I asked God, so God, when I go to earth, will I remember that I am made of energy? And then God said, well, not really, because I'm going to remove your memory. The only memory that you will have is the character and the script that you will play. And then I asked God, will all the people know that they're playing a character or a script? He said, not necessarily. And I was like, what do you mean? And then he said, well, most people will not remember who they are and where they came from. However, only a few will remember of who they are. And only a few will realize that they're actually playing a character and a script. And then I said to God, well, God, what if I will realize that I'm just playing a character or a script, and then I will start telling people that, hey, you guys are just playing a character. You can change whatever character you want if you want to. And therefore, they should not take life seriously because really everything is just a play. And then he said, well, my dear child, you can tell all the people that the earth is just a stage and all the people are just part of the characters. But I must warn you not to get disappointed because most people will not believe in you. Now, to answer your question, am I reading off a script? And the answer is yes, everything I do here is based on a script and a character. Okay, now you know. Mwah! Where is your babies? Well, I don't have babies nor I have a baby. So when I was young or when I was still in the Philippines, I really made sure or I really thought of having a child of my own, especially having a child with a foreigner. Because our mentality as being a Filipino or Filipina, we have this saying that, oh, when we marry a foreigner, we must have a kid with them so that we don't waste the gene. Now, I'm not going to say that all Filipina mentalities are like that because that's not true. There are many Filipinas out there who doesn't want any children at all, but sometimes or most of the time they are very rare to find because a lot of times, every time you meet a lot of Filipinas, they always want to have kids. So when I came to Canada and ended up with a foreigner, I always thought to myself, you know what? I cannot wait to have a kid or babies with him. Because back then, I had a Filipina mentality. So at the same time, I was being pressured by my own family, friends, and relatives from the Philippines that I should have a kid. So most of the time, when a Filipina or a Filipino would tell you you should have a kid, they don't mean to offend you. It just means that it is part of our culture that you must have a kid. Because if you don't have a kid, it's kind of like, what's wrong with you? Because the purpose of that is who's gonna take care of you when you get old. So when I was with my foreigner boyfriend, I thought to myself we should have a kid first before we get married. But during that time, I was not ready at all. He was not ready at all because we are still both really young. So you know what? We thought we should not have kids yet. And after 7 years of our relationship, I kind of having that motherhood instinct with me. I wanted to have a child, but his decision then was on and off, on and off. And at the same time, for me, I was really craving for it. It almost feel like my stomach was on fire thinking that, oh, I should have kids by now, or I should be having baby by now. So we ended up having a talk about it, and we both decided that, you know what, we should not have kids, not just yet. And eventually it came to the point that he didn't want to have a kid at all. And after 10 years of being together, he still didn't want to have kids. And I thought to myself, you know what? I really want to have kids. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we ended up our relationship together. But then when I ended up being with my second partner, eventually I got pregnant. But unfortunately, I lost the baby. And so I thought to myself, will I ever have a kid, or will I ever want to have a kid? But deep inside me, I never see myself having my own kids. Instead, I saw myself having a lot of kids. But then eventually I found out that I had a feeling that having my own kid is really not for me. If I end up having a kid of my own, then I'm okay with that. And if I don't end up having a kid of my own, then I'm also okay with that. And even though I don't have a kid of my own, I have a lot of children in the Philippines. Meaning my purpose and mission in life is to help a lot of kids in the Philippines. And that's also part of the reason why having a kid of my own now is not a good idea. I've decided to sacrifice not having a kid, but rather help a lot of kids. But then again, I mentioned earlier that you will find Filipinas who doesn't want a kid at all, but sometimes it's rare to find them. But if you do find that Filipina who doesn't want to have a kid anymore and you don't want to have a kid anymore, then you are lucky. Disney storybook name, please. To be honest with you, I don't read any Disney storybook except my own book. In reality, we can create our own Disney storybook, and you just have to write it and follow it. A lot of people create their own stories that has a lot of emotions. Many or most people's book contains a lot of drama, anxiety, traumas, depressions, mental and emotional problems or issues. And the thing is, if you're in that moment or if you're in that story, you can easily change it what you want. You can easily change, or we can easily change our story into magical, full of love, full of magic, full of peace and harmony. But yet we choose to have a lot of pain and agonies. I used to have that story too, but I realized that when I noticed or I found out that I can actually write my own story in my own book, I had to change everything. And when there's drama that will come into my life, I can easily change it and direct it. And basically, I'm the director of my own story. So if there's a drama or any problems, I can easily change it to no drama or no problems at all. All you have to do is reverse everything, change the way you look at things, and the way you look at things will change.